This is a short bite episode of Homeschool Together. Hello, welcome to Homeschool Together Short Bite Edition. Today we're going to be reviewing a new game, a sequel, part 2 of Sleeping Queens.
Sleeping Queens to the Rescue. This is from Gamewright.
It's time to switch the roles, if you remember Sleeping Queens. And
One of our favorites.
And you're rescuing, the kings are rescuing the queens. And in this one, it's been reversed. Somehow the kingdom has gone awry, and now the queens are rescuing the kings. And in this lovable game, it's a little bit more complex, like with respect to the number of cards that are involved, but very similar dynamic where you have a lot of these type of characters, cards that perform certain actions, and there are queen cards and there are king cards, and they've brought in this new thing, a companion card.
Right.
All princesses and queens need a companion animal and feature to help them rescue whatever the objective is, and it's really, really cute. So if you remember in the last game, the cool thing about Sleeping Queens is that it brings in a little bit of the idea of math and math pairings and number pairings to be able to do certain things, whether you're awaking a queen or whether you're performing the action to go and rescue the king. They had this kind of built-in math element, and they carried that forward, I think, in a really nice and elegant way, utilizing math, utilizing numbers,
right.
But also adding in the element of multiplication and division being available as well to be able to perform certain actions. So in Sleeping Queens, basically you have, in Sleeping Queens 2, you have basically your queens, you have your numerical cards, which I think starts at 2 and goes up to, I think, 9 or 10.
Yeah, I think it goes up to 10.
Yeah, and up to 10. And then you have a number of those cards, but also interlaced within those, you have some new cards.
Right, that do different things.
So,
you have your number cards, and you basically, what you're trying to do is you play your number cards, and those cards together can get you what's new in this game, which is a companion.
Exactly.
And you pair that companion with a queen that you have drawn, and together, if they have a matching symbol, and there's like 3 different symbols in the game, then you can choose to awaken to rescue a king. And so that's kind of the premise. You're drawing kings and you're drawing these number cards and you're making different equations. So they can be addition or subtraction, multiplication, division equations. You play those cards together, and then you're able to go ahead and get a companion. And if that number matches a king you happen to have, you're able to...
Yeah, the queen.
A queen, I'm sorry. You're able to go and rescue a king. And the couple of specialty cards are neat. There's one that means that you get to roll. There's a die. So it's kind of nice, rather than just, picking up a set number of cards every turn, like Sleeping Queens, the original, you actually roll a die. So you're going to get 1 to 3 cards, depending. And so there's one card where you roll a die and some action happens depending on your die roll. There's another that will put any queens you have to sleep. Yeah. And so you would then have to play a pair to wake them back up. There's another card that can basically switch cards with somebody else, or you can steal a card from someone else. So there's some cool action cards.
Yeah, spells. There's spells. The gnome is the one that you were talking about.
With the rolling the dice. And the sleeping willow is what puts your queens to sleep.
And then there's the switch witch, which allows you to switch cards. What's also cool is you talked a little bit about the dice, where they have the numbers of 1, 2, and 3. There's also a little dragon emblem on there as well, that if that is rolled instead of a number, it performs a certain action, that everybody has to do, and then the roller gets to roll again. So it's this element.
It's kind of cool. The dragon will awaken any queens you have asleep, but it will also make you all switch your knights. So in addition to drawing your cards, you all have a little knight, and he has a special ability for every player while you hold that knight. So like one will let you have up to 6 cards in your hand. One will let you alter one number in an equation up or down by 1. So one protects you from the switch witch, or protects you from sleeping willows, whatever. There's 6 different ones, and you randomly use those in the game. And so you're going to be trading knights with people. You're going to be moving them around. So whatever ability you have at the start of the game might not be the one you have at the end. It's a really light, I would say, if your family likes Sleeping Queens like our family does, this is just a natural add-on. It's different enough that I don't think, like, if you don't have any of them, then I still think I might prefer Sleeping Queens, the original, over this, maybe just slightly, but maybe that's nostalgia for me. But, if you already have Sleeping Queens, I think it's different enough to get it.
Personally, I think I prefer this one, and you can play this one without having ever played the first game.
Right. Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need one to get two, so it's like kind of a standalone thing, but it has the same elements of the kings and the queens and whatnot. And
I think it was a little bit harder in Sleeping Queens, the original, to get to the win condition. This feels like the game moves a little bit faster in this one.
this one does.
And the whole idea of getting companions to match to the queens in your hand, the companions are face down, so when you draw them, you don't know if you're going to be able to get a match there or not. So I kind of like the streamlined nature of the original Sleeping Queens a little bit better.
This is definitely more involved.
This is more involved. I think if you don't have either, we'll link our episode here to Sleeping Queens when we talked about that originally. We did it on a short bite long ago, probably one of our first ones, because it was one of our favorites. So I would say if you don't have either, probably for cost and simplicity, maybe just go for the first one. And then if you really like that game like we do, get this one. This game is 2 to 5 players, which is nice. Plays up to 5. They say it takes 20 minutes. I think that's a bit generous. I think our games have been a little bit faster than that, 10 to 15.
Yeah, very quick.
And it says 8+. We're playing this with our 7-year-old, and she could have played this at 6. And one of the things that's nice about this, and we have done this in the previous game too, is if you play with a younger child, maybe you don't play with equations. You just play with pairs or something different, so that they can still play without having to make math equations.
Yeah, you can do pairs in consecutive numbers or descending numbers.
Right.
So if you can make a descending pair or an ascending pair, you can set those rules ahead of time.
You could do something like that. What's nice about this one, as opposed to Sleeping Queens is a closed hand game. This is all open hand. Everything's on the table. So it's really nice because you can help your learner to see those equations and to work things out for themselves, or, help Nana, as we did this weekend, to make those equation connections. So I like that part of this. It's a little bit, this is an easier game to teach with a young learner who's just learning math.
I think the way they have the cards, and they have a set configuration and how you play it on the board. So you have your draw pile and you have your discard pile, and then surrounding that are your companion cards, and then surrounding that are all the kings. And so I think visually on the board, on the table, it's just a very fun and colorful and vibrant type of game. And then when everybody has their hands in front of them, there's just a lot going on. It's a lot to watch and a lot to look.
I think it's really great. The artwork is just like the original.
Very,
it's
very
really engaging. I love all the queens. The queens aren't just typical if you haven't played Sleeping Queens before. You've got the pancake queen and the rose queen, and they save the cookie king and the fire king and the tool king. There's all these funny ones.
And the companions are all puns. It's like the multi-porpoise tool.
Right. Yeah. And that's wild. It can do any of the icon types, whatever. So I think this is really great. This is super fun. It just came out this year. We were lucky enough that somebody gave this to our daughter for her birthday last month. So that was cool. We got to play it. So if you're looking for a gift to get for a family that are gamers, this game just came out. So this is probably a pretty safe bet for Christmas that they might not have it. And it's game right. So you really can't go wrong.
You can't.
Sleeping Queens 2, The Rescue.
Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time,
happy homeschooling!